Welcome to AboutFACE Theatre presents 5 Questions With, and today's guest, actor and writer Clare Dunne. Clare's work in London includes playing Prince Hal in Henry IV and Portia in Julius Caesar in Phyllida Lloyd's acclaimed productions at the Donmar Warehouse, which both transferred to the St. Anne's Warehouse in New York. Clare has also worked with the National, the Young Vic and the Lyric Hammersmith, among others. In Ireland, her theatre credits include Look Back in Anger and Tribes at the Gate, Major Barbara and Juno in the Paycock at the Abbey, multiple productions for Druid, and her one-woman show, Sure Look It, Fuck It. Her film credits include Spider-Man Far From Home, Nice Night for It, and Herself, the feature film that she wrote and stars in that premiered at Sundance and which has played to rave reviews. Clare, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me in this. I'm so honored. Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's our pleasure. So we're going to jump right in. And your first question is just what play or experience first got you into theater?
Well, I was trying to think about this question this morning and I realized it's a mix of two things, which is that my granny used to bring me to the theater and I kind of just didn't really know what it was, but she used to bring me saying it was really fun. And I was like, okay. So I'm not sure when that started, but I think it was around the same time that my mother asked me one day coming home from school, what do you like doing? Like, what have you thought about what you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I can't really think of anything that I like doing except telling stories to my friends and making them laugh. And that was my mom's great ingenuity was just to start me at a drama thing. And it was originally the thing where you do like monologues for exams and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
I started there and I hated it. I was like, what? It was just too head-led. And then she found another place, Maeve Widger's drama place. And I went there and that was like, they did a lot of improv, but then also she would teach you a lot about history and great dramatists as well at the start of class. And then before class as well, we had an hour of singing. And it was just the perfect place to begin. And so it was kind of a mix of my mom and then my granny as well. And but I would say the first moment I maybe felt the magic bug was when I was in the Gate Theatre with my granny. And I think it was Frances McDormand in oh, sorry, what's not A View from the Bridge? What's the other one?
In Streetcar.
Yeah, Streetcar Named Desire. Yeah. Streetcar Named Desire.
Sorry, I just suddenly completely forgot the play. But I remember feeling something magic, even though I didn't understand intellectually or maybe even emotionally what was going on. But I thought that was an interesting first moment for a book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And at what point did you kind of decide, Clare, that professionally that you maybe were interested in exploring it?
I think it was when I was 16 in transition year that we did a musical, the way you do one in school. And I was playing a boy, of course, so because I was in an all-girls school. But the director of that musical, she had worked in the West End herself, actually, and had just moved back to Ireland later in her life and was just having normal living. And she's like, I would never tell someone to get into acting, but I'm telling you, you could probably do it. Like, she wasn't telling me it was going to be all Disney, but she said I actually had talent that could be sellable. And I remember hearing that and going, but I still felt I'd only do teaching or directing or something still at that point. It took a while for me to get going.
Nice.
Fantastic. Okay, so great. So Clare, you talked about in Maeve's class about you would talk about great dramatists at the start. So can you tell us a great play that you love and why?
Yeah, I actually think one of the greatest classics is Waiting for Godot. And I say it because there was a version I saw probably actually with Anne Stanford and the classic guys, Barry is it Barry McGovern in The Gate. And I still remember coming outside and standing on the street on my own. I was like in my 20s, or maybe I was like actually only 18 or 19, but I remember standing outside and being like, I feel like I just witnessed magic and that I felt such meaning about life. I felt like it made me want to live so much more that night. And like I was like, I'm gonna go and meet a friend and have a drink and have the crack. I mean, I'm not saying it encourages getting drunk all the time, but I'm saying it made me want to feel connected to people and live for now. So it's ironically a play about kind of waiting for something to begin. Because I'm obviously waiting for Godot, but it's actually, I feel like it's like playing with you and kind of going, imagine how boring it could be. Like, how awful it could be. Like, I think that's what Sam Beckett's existentialism ironically does, is that it makes you want to have fun and have the crack and like fill every moment as much as you can, and also enjoy the pain as much as you have to endure it. Do you know what I mean? Just go through it, like, and I'd say that's one of the greatest plays of all time. And maybe like one other example that always stayed with me was a play called Ruined that I saw in London, and it was about a very, very difficult subject like FGM. But I remember the whole audience jumping to their feet at the end and like weeping and laughing and crying, and there was something about that play doing something very special for that culture, and it was just phenomenal. So that came into my head there just as I talked about it. But Waiting for Godot is probably one of the best. Both fantastic plays though, and writers. So can you tell us about a time in your theater life, Claire, where something turned out differently than you expected it to? Yeah, like the first thing I thought of when I saw this question was actually I never expected how much things can change in previews. So the first time I ever learned that was probably with Druid, but I remember one of the biggest examples was when I was playing Prince Hal, and it was such an experimental piece of theatre. Like the first preview has no just has no bearing on what we ended up with. It was just like, I think we did 7 or 8 previews, and I went from having a huge interpretation in this character, almost playing a version of like Pete Doherty, to going a complete other way by the end of the previews, because we were testing it, like we were testing this whole other animal. So I remember that being such a shock to me at first in the theatre world, and that's where your acting metal comes in, because you have to be willing to change and be in the moment and go on the roller coaster. But it's almost like the more you know your stuff, just like know your lines, know the structure, then you can play and make a change and let it happen. And so that was a huge lesson that I didn't expect in theatre. Wow. And fun too. I mean, it's difficult, but when you get there and when you know it's possible. In the end, it was fine. Another thing I didn't expect was when I was doing Tribes at the Gate, was I think I learned how to do the best acting so far of my career in Tribes, because I had a sense taken away from me. And that was amazing. Like I actually, you know, I something new happened there for me. And I think like that's probably the best thing about it, is that there's always going to be something unexpected depending on the character you're given, you know? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Claire, so you've already been working at some great theaters in your young career, and but you've also like started to move into film with this amazing feature that you've written and started. So what is it that keeps you coming back to theater? What moves you and excites you about theater? I mean, there's something so specific about theater where you're in a group. It's like groupthink or something. It's like everyone that's there changes the room, audience members and the actors. And I just think there's something so specifically special about theater, where we all are in the same experience at the same time, in this kind of communal thing. And whether it's like a massive tragedy or a laugh out loud comedy, it's like everything is in that moment and will only be what it was that moment because of that, you know, combination of people in that moment in time. And I just don't know if you'll ever get that from sitting down and watching Netflix. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just, there is something, I'm all for screen work. I'm mad about it now. And I've learned a lot about that as well. But there's something about theatre that's a little bit like, because you can't keep it, it's so valuable. And yeah, I think that's probably the thing that's going to keep me coming back. And yeah, I'll do anything to keep theatre alive actually at this stage. We need it more than ever right now, I think. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those connections and everything. So in theatre, you know, I'm sure you've worked on a lot of skills and you've developed, you know, you've learned a lot over the years. Is there anything from theatre, you know, any skill or anything from theatre that you feel has been really useful in the rest of your life? Yeah, like I remember there was a phase when I was living in London when I just wasn't working for say 3 or 4 months. I'm sure there was longer gaps as well, but I still remember the day where I woke up one morning and did like a bit of a warm up like I do
for going on stage, because I just felt like I needed to just like wake up in a certain way. I don't know what it was that morning, you know, I just didn't go running, but I did like a load of like vocal work, like I just felt like it. And I was like, this feels amazing to do just for me, actually. And I know it sounds basic, but it actually, it brings you into your presence, like it brings you into yourself, and then shakes off the cobwebs and makes you feel like you can start a new day again. Like there's something about those, the kind of vocal and body work, that's just a real practical thing. But there's also a thing of like, you know, when you're just telling a story at a party or just like in a conversation like this, like, you know, your sixth sense that knows what the audience is feeling or like that skill is very important. When you're at a party and you think it's dying, that's really handy. Like I really do. I'm not saying it's there every time. I mean, sometimes you're just gonna die on your ass and you gotta but I think like there's that, and then I've realized something because I worked with Phyllida Lloyd in theatre and in film, and I think the thing I've taken with me is that in theatre, I think what I actually loved all the time was that I actually got to forget myself or forget my worries in a way. And there was a sense of humility to the work. There's like, you're part of something bigger than yourself and you have to give it loads. And there's something about like getting over yourself to get behind yourself and go for it. Like, I don't know what that means, but there's just something in the nature of theatre that like, even in the last year when I just got to do some poetry with Druid or do some Zoom readings just to help a writer, because I was part of something that was bigger than me and I was helping someone, or I was just like trying to help this writer find the voice of this character, say, it just, there's something about that that's very like, I suppose it's not humble, it just feels like it's less pressure on you and you like you're part of something bigger than yourself, and it's, yeah, I don't know, that just feels good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Claire, this has been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much.
No,
as a quick bonus, can we ask, can you tell us anything about what you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I'm doing a few things at the minute because, you know, when you're a writer, it's kind of like you have a few buns in different ovens. So I'm working on a TV series like that I've written a pilot for. So I'm just doing a second draft on that. And I'm writing, I thought I was writing a short film, but now everybody thinks it's a feature film. So I hope it's another feature film. But I originally wrote it thinking it was a long short, if you know what I mean. And then I have the beginnings of what I think is a play, but it might be a play with songs. It's coming. It's like one of those things that just kind of poured out of me over the last year, and I wasn't sure what it was. But I worked on it with Gavin and Fishamble, and he's like, "It's a play." Because I'm actually more intimidated by plays than I am screen work. It's more aural first than visual. Do you know what I mean? Like the words are really important. And I'm also weirdly working on an audio walk, and I'm sure everyone will find out about that soon. I think that's going to be announced at some point in the next few months, but I can't say any more. But it's an interesting format to work in.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Claire, thank you so very much for joining us. It's such a delight.
Thank you. Thanks a million for having me. I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah. And thank you, of course, to you, the audience, for joining us. We so appreciate it. And if you liked it, please do like the video below and share, because we believe theater makes life better. So we'll see you next time on AboutFACE Theater presents 5 Questions With.
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for watching.